Are you lost? Or are you looking for something? Walking around here, it's dangerous. This is not recommended for everybody. Kiddos can come along, but they're gonna only have more questions than answers. But that's part of this journey. Enter if you dare. My name is Dakota Frandsen, and this is Specialist of the Strange Radio Show, where we go into various topics of the unknown and bring them to light. And maybe, just maybe, we'll discover something new along the way. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You're not going to want to miss this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's been a crazy month, hasn't it? Today's March 27th. Yesterday, I received word that the governor of Idaho, where I live, has officially announced a stay-at-home order. Unless you're going to get groceries, go to the doctor's office for an emergency situation, go into the hospital for an emergency situation, stay home. Now, thankfully, I'm in a situation with my day job to where I am not directly affected. I'm considered an essential employee, so I still have to go to work. But the good thing is, I do work at a grocery store at my day job, and if I decide to stick around until they finally decide to open up the doors, if I need to grab anything, I can just grab it before I go home and call it good. And now I notice that there seems to be a few people that seem to get offended every time I go to deviate from supernatural related topics. But this show, this is my show. We're going to talk about, I try to make it to where it's essentially a Bill Nye for supernatural topics. Where we sit down, we select certain topics to talk about for each episode, and I also take some time to relate what's going on in my personal life or in my other state of operations. So if that offends you, I'm sorry, but this is my show. This is how I do things. It's also hard to fill up an hour time slot. And I wanted to say that real quick because, maybe, I'll be honest. There's, for thousands of years, pretty much since humanity's been around, supernatural, religious topics have often been used as a means of hope, a means of escape from a world that's often chaotic, and that's where a lot of beliefs come in. And we got to acknowledge that the world's being chaotic. We got to be out there. We got to be honest. We got to be out there. We got to be kind to one another. A lot of you constantly ask what's going on with me, what's going on in my world, and this is my avenue. On the last episode, I mentioned coronavirus has affected a younger cousin of mine. But thankfully, it sounds like she's getting better. So, I'm not too worried about her right there. My apologies. I keep forgetting to turn down my freaking thing. Well, apparently it looks like somebody tried to use my specialist hotline. I'll get to them in a minute. And I'll talk more about that later on. Because I do have some news I want to share real quick before we get into today's episode. If any of you have shown an interest in possibly getting any of my books, my movies, even the video games I've helped make, well, if you're hoping to order a physical copy online, that might be a little bit difficult. As far as I know, my books aren't in any physical stores. You have to get them through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, la-da-da-da. But any of the movies I've been a part of, the TV shows, stuff like that, you can still get it through digital means. And you know what? I think I might do a free ebook giveaway here soon. Give in some of y'all some reading material if you're being affected by this self-isolation stuff. Anyway, what I was saying is that any of my merchandise, from the t-shirts, from basically all of vendors that I go through in order to help make these things happen, are being affected by the coronavirus outbreak. So if you go to put it in an order for a physical product, it may be a while before you see it. I mean, the stay-at-home order here is supposed to last till the 13th. Kids are supposed to be back in school on the 20th. These are in April. So, me being able to just get this content out there is probably going to be a little bit difficult, because they're expecting some technical outages because all the kids are at home. But we'll make do with what we got. So like I said, if you want to try to get any physical products I usually sell through my vendors, the situation's set up to where other people handle that type of thing, so I can just focus on creating more content. But unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 outbreak, those are being compromised at the moment. So if something changes, I'll be sure to let you know, either through my social media. So there's a link tree page that's linked in the description box below, so you can find all my social media outlets to get all the latest news. Let's see. No, that was the major thing. So what are we going to talk about for this episode? Well, a few weeks back, a news article caught my attention that I think would make a good topic. Aleister Crowley. What was going on inside this man's head? Often considered the most wicked man in the world. Some people have even asked me whether or not he was actually human. Some people actually came to me thinking that he was an actual demon. So, we're going to go talk about Crowley for a bit. Some of the ideas tossed around, often associated with him. We're going to analyze it a bit, see if there's any truth behind them. Then, once the show comes to a bit of a close, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the operation and how you all can get involved, because I've added some new outlets if you're interested. So, do sit back, relax, wash your hands, because you don't want to miss this show. Trust me, Crowley's an interesting guy. So just sit back for a bit, relax, enjoy the show. Listen to some other episodes that are available. Why not? Share this with your friends. Check in on your loved ones, because we're going to head into commercial break real quick. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, Dakota Frandsen here, Specialist of the Strange. I just wanted to come with you real quick about potentially doing your own podcast. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? Maybe you got a lot of questions like, how do I record? How do I get my show into all these apps that are out there? How can I make money? There are probably several thousand other questions about getting this show off the ground that you have been formulating and communicating in your mind. And I'm here to tell you that there is a very simple answer to this. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your show. And best of all, it is 100% free. Get all the perks from the other guys without having to pay for subscription fees. And best of all, it is easy. And in fact, Anchor can match you up with sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast right now, which means you can get paid doing what you love. Isn't that the fucking dream, my friends? In fact, that's actually what I'm trying to do right now by reading this ad for you. It is amazing. It helps ease the process for guests, putting on music, whatever you want to do. So if you want to start your podcast, make some money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and several other fabulous people already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. And I cannot wait to hear you on the air. Well, let's get to talking about me now, shall we? Timon and Pumbaa, Moose and Squirrel, Salmontina Winchester. Oh my God, that was a horrible impression. So, for those of you who don't know who the hell I'm talking about, Aleister Crowley. It's kind of an interesting subject to study. He's considered an English occultist, a ceremonial magician, a painter, a poet, novelist, and mountaineer. Born in Warwickshire in England, Crowley didn't exactly fit in with the Christian faith that his parents tried to get him into. He rejected it. Studied at the Trinity College at the University of Cambridge, where his works led to several publications. Some people allege that he was actually a member of British intelligence agencies and was a spy throughout his life as well. He was in the Order of the Golden Dawn. He studied various forms of magic. He's actually, one of his works is actually the Enochian dictionary provided by Edward Kelly. I'm sorry, there was a lot of things distracting me. Essentially, Crowley lived a very colorful lifestyle. He even had worked time in the First World War as a spy who infiltrated German camps to assist the Brits. However, he was not necessarily someone who would be the uppity, posh type because of his reputations. Oh, no, no, no. He experimented a lot with recreational drugs. He was bisexual. Often a critic of social norms. The press at the time, labeled him as a Satanist and the wickedest man in the world. If he was such an evil man, why do people continue to study him? Well, because if you really analyze the situation, Crowley may have been onto things that we are just now trying to figure out nowadays. And those are the topics I want to talk about. This is not a biographical episode about Crowley. If you want to read about him, check out some of his books. In this episode, I want to analyze some of his thought processes, the stories surrounding him. Starting with the claims that he was a Satanist. If you really look into Crowley's life, if you really try to understand his mindset, he's not exactly the type of guy who wouldn't be above messing with people's heads. The stories about him assisting the British intelligence against the Germans prove that he was not above screwing with people. Raised in hell where he had to. Claims as he was a Satanist, often founded by misguided notions. Notions that can stick around to this very day. In fact, there may be some of you that try to listen to the stories saying that I'm following satanic practices, which is where I have the authority in saying this. I'm no Satanist, but I do follow some of their beliefs. As in most satanic groups nowadays, believe in women's rights, believe that one's judgments upon the world should be based on fact, not totally based on belief or personal gain. One should be able to do as they want in the world, but face the consequences of their actions. These are all things Crowley believed and often used some of his studies into various practices to emphasize this. Now, most modern Satanist groups are more like extremist atheism. They don't believe in deities. They believe in the metaphors they often represent, which they do. And because of Crowley's patterns, because of his life, he founded his own organizations. He founded the Thelma religion. So he could pass on how he observed it, thinking that maybe this was the way, realizing that the masses not only could be easily influenced, but would easily spread word about him if he were to feed some of the rumors behind him. So, what is it about Crowley's fascination with sex magic? Well, it's incorporated as part of the Thelma religion. And this is a subject I wanted to dig into. He may have not realized it at the time, but Crowley was actually onto something. Sex magic is very real, and can be very effective. A little too effective at times, really. Why? Because the act of it alone, the racing heart, the clearer mind, the focus on the body, the instinct, the raw emotion, that can often be the basis for some very powerful and sometimes very deadly spiritual practices. It's also partially why I recommend that people who fit under the criteria for post-traumatic psychosomatic manifestations or Carey syndrome don't mess around with magic, because their emotional states, the way their mind is always flaring up in response to mental illness, can cause some unforeseen circumstances. Can cause certain things, if you're practicing magic, to become more powerful than you expect. So Crowley was onto something. There's no doubt about that. And he learned a lot of this from his travels, experiencing life. While he was not afraid to mess with people's heads, Crowley was the type of guy who simply explored life, who saw certain traditional religious values that he was brought up with as restricting, realizing there was so much more to the world. Crowley was a man that was ahead of his time. And I honestly feel like I'm kind of fast-forwarding through this episode a little quick. But that's the truth. All of his books pertain to heightened emotional status. And because... Oh, where was I? Sorry, my train of thought just got interrupted. What was I saying? You know what? Commercial break so I can recollect my thoughts, because god damn it, people don't seem to get that. I lose track of shit that easy. Alright, sorry about that. Now that I had a chance to recollect. Right. Crowley believed that the heightened emotional state that came from sex, that came from expressing the heart's desires, made a greater imprint on Magick, made a greater imprint on the world itself. And because of how that worked, Crowley still hangs out. Sometimes if you head out to Loch Ness and see his old house, you might just be seeing him out in one of the windows. I did. Wasn't close enough to get a good picture, though, which sucks, but that'll be an adventure for another time when all this insanity that's going on in our world goes away. But nevertheless, Crowley's a very interesting topic to study. Personally, going through his life, like I have in order to try to put together this episode, I honestly think he was somebody I would like to meet. Pass along some of my ideas. Because he had the same mission I do. Same goal. To experience life to its fullest and try to understand what's really out there. And there's several more people out there like that. Just perhaps they haven't found the right tools in order to be able to express that. Maybe they haven't been lucky and haven't had any incidents that caught their attention. And I say lucky because, well, you don't exactly walk through this type of life without a few scars. Lord knows I have my own. So was Crowley evil? Not in the sense people try to make him out to be. And there's other worlds out there that are aware of what Crowley has done. Other worlds where the rules of the supernatural aren't much different than our own. And we're going to do more to try to explore those worlds in upcoming episodes. How? Well, let me tell you. Tune in next week. We're going to do an episode that goes into how spirits are able to stick around. What allows the soul to still wander this earth? And we're not going into mystical explanations. Oh, no, no, no. We're going to see if we can find some sort of science to it. Why certain environmental anomalies seem to happen whenever spirits manifest. And the week after that, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. And we're going to go into the science of possession. What is it that causes the most gruesome of paranormal stories? I know I kind of went through this episode kind of quick, but I'm trying to juggle a lot, even with this COVID-19 stuff going on. I gotta go. Be sure to like, subscribe, do whatever it is so you can keep updates on this channel. Find my social media pages where we're gonna have. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel because some of you jumped ship. Where we're gonna have a video review from the old Idaho State Penitentiary. Then we're going to head back to the Hunt for Infinite Earths and conduct a one-on-one interview of sorts with the very first subject of John Constantine. You're going to want to see those. Be kind, stay healthy, wash your hands, all that fun stuff. We'll catch you next time.